Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's February 20th, 2025. Great to be with all of you today. My name is Bob Lang, and it's time for our Daily Bites, where we come to you twice a week, usually on Mondays and Thursdays. Of course, this week, Monday, we didn't get together because of the holiday, but we're back together again today talking about markets and trading and earnings and the Fed and economic data, anything under the sun that can help us become better and make some money down the road over the next several days. I will be back on Monday, of course, this next week, which is 24th of February. So that'll be the next edition of Daily Bites. But for today, let's take a look at things. And of course, it looks like the markets are going to start off a little bit softer today. I see the S&P futures down about 17 points. Dow futures down 144, reflecting down move in Walmart this morning. Of course, Walmart is a big Dow component, also the S&P 500 component. Nasdaq down about 52 points as well, too, showing a little bit of softness. We are seeing a little bit of give back in volatility this week. Tuesday a little bit, Wednesday a little bit more, and then today a little bit more as well, too. So we're seeing the VIX up to about 1560. It's not up a whole lot. In fact, all we're really giving back is what we lost on Friday last week before the 3-day holiday, right? So, the markets are down a little bit over here. They were down for a large portion of the day on Wednesday. Did manage to scrape back a win on the S&P 500, up about 8.5 points, and it was a new all-time high for the S&P 500. Now, the Nasdaq, for its part, did make a new all-time high on Tuesday. Did not make one yesterday, and it looks like if the markets are down today, it'll be just shy of a new all-time high as well, too. Dow Industrials are pretty close to it. They're not going to obviously get there today. They were down yesterday as well, too. And the Russell 2000 way far away from an all-time high. And we've talked about this endlessly. What is going to be the driver for small caps? It's going to be lower interest rates. And at this point in time, I don't see lower interest rates coming into play until inflation starts to subside. And we've seen the last couple of inflation reports, especially the CPI and the PPI for January, showed that inflation is just not going away, and it's still rising. And the Fed needs to be careful here in how they approach inflation and interest rate moves down the road. And I think the Fed funds futures, which are now portraying maybe one rate cut in 2025, still, I think, really aggressive for the futures market. And I think the Fed is probably going to be content to sit on interest rates where they are today, 4.25% to 4.5% for the time being until inflation starts coming down. What's it going to take? Well, it's going to take first, inflation is still rising. It's going to have to stop going down and crest for a little bit, and then start to nosedive, start to come down. And the Fed is going to look at least 3 months worth of data to see that is declining. So let's say next month we have the February inflation report and it starts to go sideways. We're going to need to see about another sideways reading, and then it's starting to go down for the next few months. So at the earliest, we're probably talking 5 months from now before we get a rate cut, and that would be August. There's no meeting in August, so you're talking September at the earliest. So the next few months, you could probably wash out a chance of getting a rate cut. And again, that would be super optimistic if we were to see a rate cut in September based on lower inflation. Inflation just doesn't move that quickly to the downside, especially in this economy. So that's that. And we've had some earnings reports out today. So Alibaba out, really strong earnings report. That stock is ripping higher. We had added some of that in our chat room today, so we're going to be booking some nice profits over there. Also seeing some nice gains this morning early. We'll see how it goes in Wayfair. That stock's up about $3. I have some calls on that one as well. Not so good with Walmart, as I mentioned earlier. Walmart is down about $8 right now. It's only $6.50 now, so below 100 now. Closed yesterday at 104. Look, the stock has been on a tear for the past couple couple of months, and hit a new all-time high yesterday. And listen, why shouldn't some profit taking happen? The stock didn't crush it, only beat it by about a penny, but of course earnings estimates were high, and the bar was raised for Walmart. So it's not a surprise to see the stock coming back in a little bit. It might be a good opportunity to buy some of this, maybe down at $95, $97 level. So we'll be keeping an eye on that one. Later on tonight, we're going to be hearing from Block. XYZ is the new symbol for Block. That'll be reporting earnings. Mercado Libre, Rivian, also Booking Holdings, BKNG. That's always a lot of fun to watch that stock to see if it moves, $200, $300 in the after hours to the upside or the downside. It's a $5,000 stock, Booking Holdings. It's a former Priceline. So that's going to be it on that. We're going to have some important manufacturing and inflation data coming out tomorrow in the PMI. Next week, of course, is the last trading week of February. 5 more trading days to go after tomorrow, and then we'll be putting February in the books. But don't forget, big earnings report coming out next week. That'll be NVIDIA, among others. But NVIDIA is going to be the highlight of next week of earnings season, and we'll see how that one does as well too. So that stock is currently trading just under 140 right now, several points below an all-time high. Let's see charts. Let's take a look at some charts here for you. So this one over here shows the S&P 500. I've blown it up a little bit, and I guess you can argue, the strength of this index here is very, very good, making new highs on the way, higher highs and higher lows on the way up to new all-time highs, of course. And listen, I'm not going to argue with the trend here, but we are a little bit overbought, slightly overbought. On the relative strength, not so overbought, but we've been grinding higher. And what does that mean? That means the market is climbing a wall of worry. It's been pretty high. There's a lot of doubters right now still in the markets and reticent to get in to the markets with the S&P 500 at all-time highs, at Nasdaq right near all-time highs. I get it. I understand. This is what markets do. They tend to fake people out, and then all of a sudden frustrate some people who are not in the markets, and they start saying, "Okay, fine, get me in already." And it's usually the last time the markets tend to go up. So think in terms of contrarian right now. I think there's still a little bit more time for the markets to move up, but I think that that clock is ticking right now. I think March is generally a seasonally weak month for the stock market, and we'll probably see some money flows out of the market in March. There's some big earnings reports coming up, and of course we've got some big data as well too. We have the State of the Union address coming up March 4th. So some of these events are going to help move markets, and of course we have the weekly news cycle coming out every single week. 2 of the last 3 weeks we saw Mondays down. 2 of the last 4 weeks we saw Mondays down. Of course, this last Monday we weren't down because the markets were closed, which was nice. But we'll see what happens over the next 4 to 6 weeks. Some big earnings reports coming out again next week, and then maybe a couple more in the beginning of March. But we're kind of downshifting over here right now. And listen, markets are up for 2025 right now about 4 to 5%, depending on which index you're looking at. And it wouldn't be a surprise to see a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a give back. An average of 2% a month is not bad, but of course that gives you on an annualized return of about 24% if we're up 2% a month. So that would be a lot, considering how well the markets have done the past 2 years. 24 and 23 were real strong years for the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, of course. The industrials up a little bit as well too. So a 24% gain on the year after those 2 strong years would really be asking a lot of this market. But we'll see what happens. We pay attention to the money flows. We pay attention to the charts, the price action. It tells us how to proceed. It tells us how to go. I think at this point in time, though, you got to use a little bit of caution. have some protection on, have some puts on. Puts aren't going to hurt you right now. With the VIX down at 15%, they're cheap, right? So when you get one of these days where the market's just getting whacked, you're happy you spent a little bit of money on some protection on some puts. Keep some cash in reserve. I've raised a lot of cash in the client accounts that I have and my own accounts, and there's a reason for that. Just because I think the markets up here right now are very risky and they're vulnerable to some downside, and I don't want to get mixed up in that downside, especially with some of the options that I have. The leaps plays we have are working really nicely. We have a new club going, the leaps club. The options club was doing really well. We have Win, we have Palantir, among others. A couple of other names that are working really nicely for us as well too. So if you're not in the chat room, check us out. Listen, this is a place where we have a policy called it's a politics-free zone. We don't talk politics in the room. We don't talk anything related to politics, because there are places for that, and our chat room is just not it. So if you're looking for a place where you can just strictly talk about investing and trading and markets and the economy and that sort of stuff, Explosive Options chat room is where it's at. So I look forward to seeing all of you guys there. If you're in our spread trader service, Sam has a big webinar coming up later on tonight, and he's looking forward to sharing some of his knowledge with some of you and telling you a little bit about spread trading and about the spread trader service, which, by the way, up 10% in 2025. Just incredible results. He's just killing it all over the place with the spread trader. So if you need more information on that, let me know. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. I appreciate everyone spending a little bit of time with me. Send this along to somebody if you think they may need it. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys all back on Monday. For now, have a little bit more Eagles. I appreciate it. We're going to spend a little bit, and I'll see you guys all back. Have a great weekend.